Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 17th of January, comes to you from London. Seeing a little bit of recovery in the dollar this morning, but it's still bearish below the cloud. And having taken out this lower low, dollar is looking bearish all round. We haven't quite broken the long-term support on the 1% point figure chart, but we have activated this downside target of some 20%. So it does look like the dollar is still sinking lower. Seeing the euro holding that higher high as well at 122.30 at the moment. So we do have two upside targets here on the short-term chart of 124. Against the yen, the dollar is looking weaker as well, and new downside targets of about 1% activated there. So dollar is just collapsing on most currency grounds. Sterling is flat at about 137, 137.80 at the moment. And against the euro, sterling is recovering on the short-term chart, but medium and long-term, medium term is better, but the long term is still bearish. We do have some short-term downside targets as well. Against the Swiss franc, we're seeing sterling recovering a bit, and against the Australian dollar, it's fairly flat. Bitcoin was the big story yesterday. We tweeted that we saw targets to 7,500 from these charts. We touched 10,000 overnight on Bitcoin, and we are now just resting on medium-term cloud support. If you want to track the really short-term targets, take a look at the 1-minute chart. US market was down very slightly, Nasdaq also down very slightly, and the Dow, but these charts all still very, very bullish, and the Russell 2000 pulling back as well, but with good upside targets. Looking at the future, the S&P future is just up about 0.2% this morning in London, and the Nasdaq E-mini the same, so it does suggest the US might open just a touch higher. FTSE 100 is down very slightly, and the FTSE 250 also just starting to turn a little bit bearish on that shorter term chart. The DAX is flat, that stronger euro not really helping, and the Nikkei, also the stronger yen, not really helping, but still looking very strong on multi-year highs. The Hang Seng chart is amazing. It's just been going up for the last several weeks in a very clear uptrend on the short-term chart, and the Chinese market still looks pretty bullish, and the Indian market also looking very strong again, nudging, making new highs again. The Australian market has turned bearish below the cloud. It's not looking quite as good on the short-term chart. And looking at Brent crude, we see that's turning bearish as well. We've got a downside target of 67.77, so that's 1.76. Looks like we're just doing a counter trend reversal here. So this downtrend on the short-term chart is likely to be short-lived and not very big. And the WTI chart just turning a little bit bearish there on the short term as well. US nat gas is struggling in this mid-teens, 315 at the moment. Just can't break this 320 level, so looking very, very flat over the last several months. 320 is a very critical level for US nat gas to get through. Copper future is bouncing off the bottom now, having had a sell-off the last few days. And if we go straight to gold, gold is still bullish on the short-term chart, but just testing cloud support here at the moment. And if we look at silver, similar picture where we're testing cloud support. So that's quite key too. US Treasury yield sitting at 2.56%, just holding these high 250s. Apple down about 0.5% overnight. Google down very slightly, and Amazon down very slightly. Facebook down 0.5%, turning back to its bearish position. A lot of volatility creeping in Facebook lately, so it's quite interesting watching that. And we see Microsoft also just selling off a bit. So market's a little bit subdued, and we need to just keep an eye out for what happens in the US over the rest of the week. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.